Beers and Banter, episode 38. We've got Darren Dasher Ireland in the house. I think we'll talk lots of footy tonight, probably a bit of boxing, maybe some sports docos. Let's rip in. Dasher, welcome to the Sweaty Box.
Thanks, Matt. Great to be here, mate. Big fan. Listen to you every week, so yeah.
Appreciate that, mate. You're looking fit. How you been?
Good, mate. Really well, thanks. Training pretty hard, actually. I've really enjoyed it. It's a way to get rid of the stresses of the day. So it's been terrific.
Good stuff. There's finally some footy back. We've got lots to talk about. The show went a little bit stale there. All I really had was conspiracy theories and government initiatives. So now the footy's back and there's plenty to talk about. There's a bit of boxing happening, a bit of UFC. You're not really into the UFC, but
no, I watch it when I get the opportunity. I don't really go out of my way though.
They're having a bit of a drama over there with all their fighters are basically heels in the sand, wanting more money. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
There's plenty for them to throw around, I would have thought.
Well, I think unlike other sports, I think the organisation keeps plenty, and they don't like the fighters to get too much money because as they can see, the more money they get, the harder it is to get them back in the ring. But footy wise, bit going on.
Lots.
A world that you're not foreign to. You know, you've played a bit of Sydney footy back in the day. Even told me just before we started recording, you were a bit of a player manager back in the day. What?
Oh, late in my career, when I was back up playing at Queensland Cup, I managed it. I wouldn't say managed. I assisted a couple of my teammates with their negotiations. So
real standover man.
No, I like to negotiate on an even keel there, mate. But I was lucky enough in my career to have a really good manager, and I tried to pass that on and assist guys where I could.
Obviously, the big headlines at the moment, one of the player agents that manages, I think 9 of the players at the Broncos and the coach has just been deregistered. From my understanding and I don't know heaps about the scenario, but he was also the player manager that had Woods, Tedesco, Moses and Brooks at the Tigers. It's like, if you're a Tigers fan, you'd be filthy on the bloke, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I couldn't see him going to Leichhardt too many times, mate.
How do they navigate? How does the NRL navigate this scenario that they've got where player managers are actually affecting got the ability to really manipulate a roster at a team?
If you look at the Broncos, I think he could probably one of the player managers could fill a first grade side at the Broncos and the coach. So how does that really affects how they negotiate with that manager to move a player on or to bring someone new in. So it's a massive issue for the game because they're probably the most powerful people in the game at the moment, and it's just not right.
I was thinking today, I think you should either be a coach's manager or a player's manager. I know there's only that only gives you the opportunity to manage a basket of 16 people, but I think it's a conflict of interest to be negotiating with players that are also potentially. It's to me that if that was in our industry, we'd be like conflict of interest. I've got to step away from this negotiation.
I totally agree. How you facilitate that, I don't know, but it's a massive issue with the game. I'm not sure. It's AFL. I don't know if they had the same issue or not.
I don't know.
But it's a concern without a doubt. And if you're a general manager of a football club, it's something that you need to really stay ahead of. And I don't know how the Broncos have let happen.
Because it used to be more. I think there was more.
Yeah, well, it was upwards of 18 at one stage, I thought. So anyway, it's very difficult for people to get into the game now as well. You look at Braithen Astor's trying to jump in there a bit, but there's a very few managers have got a large majority of the senior playing group.
Yeah, okay. Real interesting. What if for the Tigers? Could you imagine if those 4 blokes were still at the Tigers?
Yeah, I know Justin would have a much better time of it. So
Not the Titans, the Tigers.
Oh, the Tigers. Yeah,
Imagine
sorry.
if those
Yeah.
4 blokes were at the Tigers.
Oh, mate.
Juniors, club juniors.
Well, one of them's the best player in the game.
Yeah.
The other's probably the best halfback in the game at the moment.
Yeah. Woodsy's probably not been as big a form, but
he hasn't. But he's a solid state of origin front row. I'll play for Australia, so you'd have to think top 4 team without a doubt.
Yeah,
because they're not that bad a side. They're a pretty strong side. They just need a bit more strike.
Yeah, and they're going all right, but they've just been sitting at that ninth position for a few years now. But yeah, we'll see how they go. To be honest, they're not really my big concern. My heart's at the Titans and how they're going to go. We've just picked up Corey Thompson from the Tigers. I don't know a lot about him other than the good things I see online is that all the Tigers fans are dirty that he's coming to the Titans. So to me, that tells me that we're going to get a solid performer and hopefully strengthen that back line. It's been a bit of an issue with Brimson not being able to play this year. Yeah,
I agree. From what I've seen a bit of him over the years, you know what you're going to get. He's very solid. I as long as they haven't paid too much, I'm happy for them to have him. And he's equally adept at fullback or on the wing. So you throw him in there, he's going to do a job for you, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He takes his opportunities. So good signing as long as they haven't paid to him in overs.
Yeah. Jamal Fogarty's basically grabbing his opportunity with both hands at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. It's always good to see someone come through the Queensland Cup like that, have a great year, and then get his opportunity. I hope he can and make the most of it. It's a really tough job to come in the halves and put your stamp on it straight away. It probably takes 10 to 15 games for you to come in and really make the most of it. Justin Holbrook being the next half would probably, I'd say, help him in that role. So
did you play footy with him?
I did. I played a fair bit of footy with Justin. We were pretty close back in the day. So, I think he'd be mentoring him pretty closely and helping him along the way. And, hopefully he gets the opportunity to stamp his authority on that position in the team.
Got any stories for us that our Titans fans won't know about the coach? Some old gems?
I've got plenty, but I don't know any that I'd like to share.
What can we expect? Like people that don't know him, what kind of guy is he?
He's a good guy. He's an honest guy. He's very much a team man. He'll get the guys together, and he'll really get them playing for each other. The thing about that, the old Bulldog style, is that they train really hard, and it builds that camaraderie, and they'll go out there and they'll fight hard for each other. And I think that's just what a supporters want to see, is to know every week that the team that they support is going out and giving their best and are in the fight.
100%, and that's something I don't think no Titans fans are expecting big things this year other than effort. That's all they want to see. And even, hopefully next year, the year after, that we're starting to really build into a top side. But to get bums on seats, it's effort. Week in, week out, and being in the game right up until the end. Yeah. I missed the weekend's game, actually. I missed the first half. And then when I saw the score, I basically fast-forwarded through the first half. Yeah. But I did like the second half. There was lots of effort there. There's probably a few calls, just those little 1%ers that maybe that completion or just finishing off some of the things didn't quite happen, but there was effort there right until the last couple of minutes, and I think that's all we need when we're going to be locked in a battle. And as much as I know we've got Suns fans that listen to the pod as well, and I really want them to do well, but my heart really is with rugby league on the Gold Coast, and we really need the Titans to fire. And you got the Suns. Doesn't everybody love a winner? All I heard about at the start of the week was the Suns.
Yeah, it was a shock. Everyone was shocked, I think.
Yeah.
So, outstanding, though. Such a fickle, supporter group, the Gold Coast. So we need those two teams winning so that people are attending,
So, and then everyone sinks the boot in. The Titans look like being the first team to get fans back at the game in Queensland. And I got a few texts today, like, where are they going to find the 2,000 people? I thought that was a bit...
That's a good one.
I thought that was a bit rude, to be honest, you blokes, but...
They'll be coming out of the woodwork, mate. Anyone to go and watch live sport now.
You've been in and around southeast Queensland for a long time. You've been in and around rugby league a long time. Do you think we need another footy team in southeast Queensland?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. I think we need another team in Brisbane. There's a lot of people in Brisbane who don't support the Broncos.
Yeah, true.
But that, once again, that team needs to be successful. Broncos have such an unfair advantage against every other team in the competition because they're a one-team town in such a big market.
Oh.
And to bring, I know that the Crushers didn't work, but there were circumstances around that. You get the right people in that new organisation, I think it can work. And the issue is obviously where do you play out of and all those sort of things. But I definitely see a place for it. Sydney's got, 8 teams?
9.
9.
I think.
And there's one in Brisbane. Even if it's Ipswich.
I think Redcliffe.
Or Redcliffe.
If I was going to do it, it'd be Redcliffe, because then you start to push north into the sunny coast.
Yeah.
My concern is the observation I've made, Broncos powerhouse, most successful club as far as premierships per years in the competition.
Yep.
Haven't won a comp since the Titans entered. Is that a coincidence? Not that we've stolen a lot of talent off them, but
no,
the Storm has probably had a bigger impact on them, to be fair. But I don't know. People that have listened to the show will be rolling their eyes right now because I talk about it every pod. Grinds my gears when people carry on about the location. Like a team in Brisbane's going to be more successful than a team on the Gold Coast just because of the location. They might be members-wise. I get that attendance-wise. I don't know, the NRL. That's the other thing that frustrates me. Whether it's Ipswich or Redcliffe, they're still going to want them to play out of Suncorp.
Yeah.
So you're not really putting a team in the middle of a demographic or a geography. You're putting it. They want 26 games at Brisbane, and you're not going to get 40,000 at 26 games because of that 40,000 that turn up to the Broncos is those people that don't like the Broncos, but they're turning up once a year to see their team play.
Yeah, agreed.
So you're not going to get that. You're going to get plenty, but you're not going to get that. And the thing about the Gold Coast, and this is the underlying theme of the pod, is that there is no greater place to be an athlete than on the Gold Coast. We have the best world-class athletes on the Gold Coast, whether they're swimmers, triathletes, motorcyclists, golfers. They all. That's a perception thing, and it's an expectation thing. The expectation's got to be at the club for performance. So every time someone says, "Oh, this will be the death of the Titans," because they're not successful on the Gold Coast, I think the model's got to be if you're bringing in a team into the Brisbane, you've got to be just as committed to the Gold Coast succeeding from an NRL level. Otherwise, it's for nothing because you get the catchment. And I don't know if I spoke about it. We had Courtney Atkinson here the other week, and he sort of said, "Yeah, what have we really missed out on the Gold Coast?" It's like if the Chargers had never been kicked out, there was 4 or 5 players that were pretty handy that the Broncos missed out on.
Yep.
But it was in between the Chargers and the Titans. Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater. You imagine those guys that the Broncos rejects those 4 guys, 4 immortals, or if not immortals. Imagine if they would come to the Titans or the Chargers or whoever.
Oh,
it's
I agree.
a completely different conversation right now.
And I don't think, Matt, honestly, there's so many players from Queensland that end up in a New South Wales club every single year.
Yep.
That I don't think it's going to dilute the talent. I think probably what it would do would enable a lot more local talent to stay local rather than move to Sydney. And that way you would have those homegrown players there and as long as you put some quality, experienced leadership style players in with them, I think it'll be a positive. You look at the way the Titans started, those guys that they recruited, Bailey and Prince and those sort of guys, we had Rogers. That's the model, right? But you need an experienced coach to do that as well. I think you look at
that's
GW.
the problem. This second Brisbane team will probably get Bellamy and half a dozen of the best players in the comp, and then sky's the limit.
And I don't have a problem with that. And I don't think that if they put that team in that they would take a focus away from the Gold Coast or mean that the Gold Coast, they wouldn't want that to succeed.
Someone that you and I both knows a fair bit about footy as well, Milne.
Yeah.
He said to me one night that there's only 4 teams at any one time that can win the comp because of the player pool. And I reckon he's pretty bang on. There's probably only maybe 5 this year that could realistically win the comp.
Mate,
and the rest is not. There's too diluted. So to get that extra team in Brisbane, do they have to drop? I understand. I'm not going to go into all the arguments of why you can't delete a team, but I think you need to. I think you need to drop a team out of Sydney, and Sydney needs to turn into a conference. So worst Sydney team each year drops down, and then someone comes up. Yep. So like a Newtown or you know what I mean, like a North Sydney or
getting into some.
I've noticed a lot of North Sydney cardboard cutouts, which I think
really?
They might have heard this show because I blew up and said, if North Sydney's got that many fans, why aren't they in the stands? Well, they've been doing the cardboard cutouts, so maybe that's why.
You going to take that one?
Yeah, I will take credit for that. But you know what I mean? So if you say that, but then it looks like one of the best hookers in the game has been sitting behind Cameron Smith for the last couple of years, or at least the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shauno from work. He called it ages ago. He's like, this kid that's at 2 deep at Melbourne, he's the next Queensland hooker. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I'd never heard of him. Next minute, he's getting swapped to the Tigers and he'll probably play Origin this year.
Yeah, he's been carving up in State Cup for a while now.
Yeah.
He's a quality player.
For the Falcons, I think, was he?
Yeah, Sunny Coast Falcons, yeah. So, I agree with you there, but the problem you've got there, and I'll say, I will go back when you said there's 4 or 5 teams. From what I saw on the weekend, I can't see anyone beating the Roosters because that was out of control the first half.
What about the General? What about Smithy?
He can't slow them down.
No
matter what tactics. From what I saw in that first half on the weekend.
On Monday night against the Bulldogs. Yeah. It's Bulldogs. Granted,
but they would have rolled over anyone.
Hang on, the Roosters put 50 on the Broncos too, didn't they? They scored something like 112 consecutive points.
Since they've come back after COVID, they've just gone to another level, and it's just they've got strike everywhere on the field, and they're just going to be so hard to defend against. And they're the second best defensive team in the comp as well. So.
I've seen a few things, so I'm not going to take credit for the idea, but a couple of observations is that I think it was Matty Johns was talking about the Roosters on Monday night, about the fact that they've got the ability, they're not stuck in a lane. You know, for the last couple of years, that everyone's been stuck in their 10 metre lane and you're not allowed to deviate. Well, the Roosters they're allowed to play what's in front of them. And then I saw someone else stipulate today that maybe this is the return of the strike centre. I think
inside centre, outside centre.
Yeah, you're going to see them start to link up and speed through the middle. I think what we're going to see lots of blowouts. And we haven't really seen it since Super League. I remember Super League there was a lot of blowouts, and I don't know what the rules were. I was a bit young back then, but
Super League should have had less blowouts really because
you were kicking the ball back to the
yeah. But there was less evenness across the comp. You did really have the top 3 or 4 sides that. In that comp.
No one was beating the Broncos.
No one was beating the Broncos. Yeah. Sure. Thanks.
So what are we drinking tonight? We're on the Super Crisp.
Super Crisp.
So I got a request via text today. No pale ale.
Yeah, I'm not a pale ale man. I don't know. I'm just old school. Never really.
I don't think we've had Great Northerns on the pod, and I like the bottles. So I've ordered a home brew kit. So I thought, clear bottles might be the go. Yeah. Labels, it'll come off pretty good. So I thought I'd give the Great Northerns a run. But yeah, I'm loving the footy. I like the new rules. I like the one ref. I don't know if we've been on the pod since the Manly forward pass. I know we're covering old ground here, people. I could not believe the amount of carry on. So it's a rule that we can talk about. So it's a couple of weeks old now, but it's a rule that bugs me. And it was online the other day. Someone said, what's the worst saying? What's your least favourite saying in rugby league? Mine is backwards out of the hands. Mm-hmm. I hate it. When I was playing footy, the ball either went forward or it didn't.
Yeah.
And the only exception is when you're flat out and you've got a winger trailing a centre and they're both flat out and he passes it backwards, but due to physics, that ball actually travels forward. I get that scenario. Tommy wasn't flat out.
No.
He actually got stopped, and the ball carries 2 metres forward.
But that's normally, Matt, when that comes into play, is when that person gets stopped and they've passed it before they get stopped. So that inertia is still there, and that shows up, that makes it look forward, right? And if you went back, if you
doesn't make it look forward. It went forward.
It did, but it went backwards out of the hands. If you
did it though,
if you broke down
categorically,
every
conclusively,
pass, if you broke down every pass,
in
a game of rugby league, you'd be very surprised the percentage that ended up in front of where the ball left the hand.
Yeah, so my beef with that whole scenario is I'll deal with what the technical rules are, that backwards out of the hands, it's not a forward pass. I was happy the touchy made the call live in front of him that the ball travelled forward. Now, it's a lot harder for the touchy live to decide whether that person's hand, what direction the person's hands were when they've made a call and went, the ball travelled forward, and I'll go, I can live with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it was a backwards, the ball went backwards and they called it forward, or it was blatantly forward and they let it play on. The touchy saw a ball travel forward and he called it forward, and it's like the world ends, and it's like, come on, everyone's been begging since we brought 2 refs in to take it back to 1 ref. So it's made the touchies are actually having to go back.
Do something.
They've been brought back into the game. I just thought it was ridiculous how much everyone carried on about that.
And I agree. But if it hadn't have been in the last 10 seconds to win the game...
All the Manly fans forgot about the try that was dropped over the line, though.
Yeah, but that's what happens, mate. They're supporters. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'm happy. These mistakes are going to be made. And it is too contrived to actually bring in a rule where they're going to go back and do that on video, because it's just going to slow the game down too much. So there has to be... It can't be involved in the video replay, so just play on.
Well, they're talking about it. They're talking about there's all these companies that have approached the NRL that said they can prove it.
But how long is that going to take, and how much is it going to slow? And this is the thing we've said with the 6 again rule, how it's quick, sped up the game, there's the ball's in play more often, all that sort of stuff. If you go and bring that something like that in, it slows it all down again.
They talk about things changing the fabric of the game. The 6 again rule didn't. And neither did the 1 ref, because we had 1 ref for 100 years. And it was okay. And they've been getting those calls wrong for 100 years, and it's okay. I think if you change it and backwards out of the hands was really brought in, and they started measuring people's hands and trajectories, that would change the fabric of the game, because next minute there would be the players would work out a way to throw the ball where it went backwards out of their hands and it's travelled 2 metres forward and hit the winger on the chest in the tries. Yeah. It's gridiron. We're basically at gridiron levels.
I think the bigger issue is from dummy half. How many forward passes out of the dummy half on the ad line are
Which
there?
was a cardinal sin, throwing a forward pass out of dummy half.
And that's what gets me about the touch judges. What are they doing? There should be 1 touch judge in line with that for every play of the ball. So they should be calling that. What
has suffered, I reckon, is at 10 metres.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And because the referee can't watch everything, there should be a touchy. There's supposed to be a touch judge on the 10 and a touch judge on the ruck. Yeah, so the touchy on the 10 should be policing that.
I would like more eyes in the sky. And maybe people will probably differ with me here, but we've got the ref. They've got a bunker. They're watching the game from every angle. Why can't he go, get him on side, ref?
Yeah.
They're 2 metres in front of you on your left-hand side. Blow the whistle.
They'll be talking to him all game, mate.
Surely they are anyway. It was something I did like before they brought in the fake crowd noise. I really liked the impacts that you can hear, but also liked being able to hear the ref talking to the players.
I'd much rather that than the fake noise. I hate it. I don't know if it brings me back to being a younger man when you're out there, but I just love to hear the collisions and the talk, and I think it's great for people to understand what happens out there.
There was a little, again, UFC, the commentators had to be careful because they were like analysing what the guys were doing, and then the fighters were actually hearing the commentators go, he should do this, and he's like, give that a go. next minute he wins the fight. Like, that same sort of thing with the sport. Like, you really hear the damage.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely loved that when they had that with no sound at all. I thought it was terrific. And like that Parramatta game where they were flogging the Broncos, second half, the parrot chant went out. Like a fake parrot chant.
I want to know who's deciding when to, because every now and then you hear like a boo.
The Roosters with all the tries they scored the other night. The
Roosters will keep the fake crowd noise.
The big cock-a-doodle do.
Now Titans cop a lot of shit, but it's the Roosters are collecting everybody's cardboard cutouts for when the crowds resume.
Yep. Yeah, there's probably more there now than they normally
They're keeping
get.
the fake noise.
Yeah.
Hey, what people don't know, the reason I've got you for the pod tonight is tomorrow, but probably by the time people listen to this, is this week anyway, is the 10-year anniversary of when you knocked me out.
Yes,
now,
it is.
I'll give people the backstory. My brother from another mother had been diagnosed with a brain tumour, and I'd just come out of a corporate fight night, and I put it out to the industry because I wanted to raise money for him, that I'd fight the highest bidder, sort of knowing that your ego would get you to the table.
Thanks, mate.
And that everybody, a lot of people would either see to you get knocked out or me. Like there was plenty of interest from the industry for it to happen. Because
I thought I was saving you from other people in the industry.
Well, there was some blokes that I really didn't want to fight, to be fair. But, so next minute, we're training alongside each other. You're as fit as a fiddle. I remember going on hill runs around Burleigh, and I was about 300 metres behind you all the time and thinking, shit, what have I got into? And in the sparring, though, I thought I handled you okay. 2 weeks out, shoulder gone, which I've just finally had rebuilt after all this time. But, yeah, shoulder was a bit soft, so I had no jab. And then, I don't know, we may as well should we have a look at it? I'm not sure whether...
If you really want to.
I'm going to try and put this into the video for the people at home, but we'll see how that goes. Where'd it go? So basically, what we did, we raised money, and the industry decided that it was going to be. We won't get any sound out of this, but so we're dancing around here a little bit. I'll commentate for the people at home.
Middle of round 2.
Yeah, I think my biggest mistake I made was I actually hit you right before the bell in round 1.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to take it easy on you up to that stage.
That was silly of me.
Yeah, I actually saw stars, and I actually thought to myself, geez, watch out, you could lose this, and I didn't want that to happen, so I had to do this.
All right, well, here it comes, folks. Yeah. Boom. Do you know what? My wife watched this just before I come out here, and she laughed. She goes, you got messed up.
But I will say they are the 3 worst jabs ever thrown inside a ring.
By me.
That you led up with.
Yeah. Did you feel guilty about now?
Oh, look at me. I'm blowing up. I'm not blowing up that you knocked out. I'm blowing up that I hurt a mate, and that wasn't the aim.
Has the hate mail stopped? It was mostly from my family.
Yeah. Well, it's all the death eyes that Archie gave me when I went inside before. So
he was just a baby boy. I can't even remember whether he was there that night. We must have got a babysitter. But yeah, so 10 years ago that was. So I just thought I'd get you back. You're looking fitter now. To be honest, I'd rather fight you back then. Yeah,
I'm definitely fitter now. I only did 5 weeks leading up to that, whereas I think it was a 10-week thing they normally do. So
I wish I had been as fit for the fight, because I did one before, and my fitness let me down in that one. I wish I was as fit for the first one as I was for the second one, because I reckon I would have went better.
I went to that first one, and I thought you'd won.
Yeah.
So that's why they didn't show it on Channel 9.
Yeah, that was the general consensus. So I did have a few people say to me, problem was I sat on the second rope for the third round and had a rest. But I'd do it all again, to be honest. I'd cop that knockout again. Love the big fella, and we were doing it for a good cause, and we lost him in 2018, which was very sad, and we still miss him. But big fella, love you.
Yep.
I'd do it all again. I'd cop that shot again for him. He was a top lad. Do you reckon he'd go around again?
I still remember driving home. So training was down south. It was probably a 40-minute drive home. One night I was sparring, and you know what they used to do is they put someone fresh in with you. And I copped a left hook from a big man. He's probably 6'4". Greg, remember Greg?
Butters.
And he hit me with a left hook.
he could hit. He was deceptively
and he just rocked me. Like I just went back, and I remember driving home that night going, geez, I hope I make it. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I learnt a lot. I'm no pugilist, that's for sure, but I really enjoyed the training and getting fit again, and it was.
I reckon my body, that was the best shape my body's ever been in when we were training like that, but my mind was foggy. It's not good. I remember Greg hit me in the guts one night, one Saturday morning there, and I basically went straight out through the back. I was lucky there was a wall there to stop me like hitting the floor. He could hit.
Yes, and just while we're on, a bit of a shout out to Johnny. He was great, and we've lost him as well.
Did,
so
yes.
A great man, and he looked after us a lot during that period.
Great motivator too. I should say that I see Johnny comes up in my Facebook feed all the time, and I'm always thinking of him.
Yeah.
I should say that vision. Well, it was you took the video.
No, well,
or your wife took the video.
Yeah.
But that was Fight Like a Pro. So Toppy, I don't know I think they're still doing it out there.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Fight Like a Pro was the event that we were on there.
No, it was great and great experience, and anyone that's interested in it at all. And they do normally set you up with someone about the same level as you. And
well, to be honest, you gave away a fair bit of weight.
Yeah.
But you're one of the most aggressive, competitive bastards I know. Where does that come from?
It's just, I think I grew up tough, didn't have much growing up, worked really hard to get everything.
Where from, Townsville?
Townsville. I born in Rockhampton, moved to Townsville. My parents got divorced when I was young, so and just had to fight for everything and just want to win, mate. And just just really are willing to work hard to get it, I suppose. And
we talk about it on the pod a little bit about where does it come from. I'm trying to. My mission is to try and find out what makes people tick, because I certainly didn't have it. I was handy at sports, but I certainly didn't have that drive to be good at sports. There wasn't many games that I could join in and I could pick it up pretty easy and I could go all right. But I never had that killer, that killer drive. And it's something that I'm starting to notice, and it's a tough upbringing. There's not many world-class or superstars that come from millionaire or billionaire homes. Now, putting aside maybe Lance Stroll in the F1, his dad's a billionaire. I reckon if his dad wasn't a billionaire, he probably wouldn't be in the F1.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those sports where you need the cash to.
But you don't, maybe tennis, maybe a bit of golf. I'm not too sure. You need that money just to get started.
Yeah.
But the common theme amongst the super elites is a tough upbringing and having to work really hard to get what you want. And I'm watching all the docos at the moment. Yeah. You look at Kelly Slater. They were all from broken homes, all sort of a bit of a rough childhood. Next minute, there's this group of kids that all grow up on the, hanging out on the north shore of Hawaii. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Momentum Generation. Check it out.
I will do.
People are sick of me. I've mentioned that on the pod a couple of times. So, tough upbringing. You've got Michael Jordan, had dropped from his high school basketball team, all those sorts of things. They didn't grow up with a lot of money, worked hard. Psychotic probably is the other trait that I'm noticing amongst the super elites. They're not quite, some of the people that have really changed the world, then the human interaction side of them is not great.
Yeah. What's the word I'm looking for?
There's no empathy, maybe.
Empathy, that's the word. Empathy. They don't really mind if they hurt your feelings, because you need to work as hard as they want.
Whether it's Bill Gates, you used to just expect people to program all night because
Steve
what else have you got to do? Yeah. Steve Jobs, Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
Psychotic.
Well, we did mention this before the pod, and I've taped it, so don't ruin it all for me. But I'm really looking forward to watching that. So
controversial view. I don't know if I like him more or less after watching it, because I'd written him off and just said, "Nah, cheat, done.
Yeah,
you're not great to me." Spoiler alert: they're all doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing.
But probably what really lets him down is the way he treated people that said. When it started to all unravel and people were starting to go, yeah, I cheated, and so did Lance, he was still like, no, I didn't. And like suing people that were trying to say that he did it. Weird sport about how, like, very political. And he probably became so big in that sport and was bringing so much recognition to the sport of cycling that he became too powerful.
Yeah.
And there's a clip, and it's in the promo, so it's not really a spoiler, but basically there's a rider that speaks out about him. So in a race, this rider makes a breakaway. So Lance hunts him down. And then when he catches him up, he just does this zipper across the lips to the camera on the Tour de France coverage. It's like, how arrogant is that? Like, shut your mouth. You're nothing.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I agree, he was too big for the sport. And I will say
Because no one watched cycling before Lance Armstrong.
No, not really. And I ride now, and I enjoy it, but it hurts. And for those guys to do what they do is phenomenal.
It became impossible to keep up if you weren't on drugs.
Yeah.
Or EPO.
So what do you do? You have to go and get a 9-to-5 job. Or
I never really knew what EPO was before last week. I thought it was just EPO. It's just steroids or something. But it's not really steroids. It's more generating oxygen in your blood, which... Good.
Well, there was all sorts of stuff they were doing, weren't they? So...
but, yeah, check that one out.
Yeah.
But he continues the theme of something not quite right about the people that are super elite.
The one that I have recently heard about, and I didn't know this, was Kobe Bryant. He grew up in a wealthy household. So
Wealthy?
Wealthy, yeah. Grew up in France, Paris or something.
Oh, really?
And then came up, yeah. So he's probably atypical there because from what I've heard, he was the same mindset of Jordan, just worked harder than everyone else and wanted it more. So
yeah,
bucks the trend.
But he sort of emulated Jordan. He had Jordan to go, that's what I need to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I think the 90s changed sports too. Like, I don't know, just they went from like sport to professional sport was the 90s. Now, obviously, NFL players and basketballers before that were probably getting played plenty of coin, but back in the 80s, particularly in Australian sport, guys definitely would have still had a job in the 80s and probably into the 90s to a degree, but it was that back end of the 90s where they really become professional sports people.
More money, more coverage.
More, yeah, and no longer being a co-crep or whatever the daytime job was.
All the cricketers with the cigarette wraps and that sort of stuff. So
yeah, wow. That was the other one, the test. If you haven't seen the test,
we've spoken about that. I haven't seen that yet, so I need to.
That was pretty good. Justin Langer, basically, as Justin Langer takes over on the straight after the scandal, basically. What else have we got? I do have 3 questions that I ask everyone. Hopefully, you've thought about them as you're driving along in the car listening to the pod.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
they're tough.
I realised after I asked Courtney the other week that he's the kind of guy you invite to a barbecue. So he probably doesn't sit around thinking about virtual barbecues. He just goes.
And everyone asks him the questions. Yeah.
But I'm gonna hit you with a favourite place on earth for a beer.
It would be, and I haven't been there for a long time, would be Alma Bay on Magnetic Island.
Oh, yeah?
Grew up in Arcadia Surf Lifesaving Club. And
is it really called Surf Lifesaving in Townsville?
Well, yeah. When cyclones come through, you get decent swell. But no, it's more up there. It's more about jellyfish,
wrestling crocs, and straining the jellyfish.
Yeah, that's probably it. But just to sit there, watch the sun go down, and have a beer was great. I loved that as a younger adult.
Sorry to all the lifesavers up north that I've just insulted too. What are you drinking? What are you drinking? What's favourite beer?
I'm probably drinking Great Northern. Super Crisp at the moment. I'm not a...
What about that for marketing? Great Northern by Victorian Beer Company.
Yeah, but it's worked.
They're killing it. You go north and that's all there is.
Gold, for so long, I grew up on Gold.
Yeah.
So I moved to Sydney, drank Gold, it was just... But, it's really taken off, this cold-filtered sort of easier to drink. That's the problem. All right. The problem with it is it's too easy to drink.
Yeah. It goes good. I haven't had them for a while. Next one, favourite athlete of all time?
I've thought about this a lot, and I don't know that I have one. I have sort of one in every sport that I really appreciate and admire too. Like growing up, Wally Lewis was it for me.
Yep.
just loved him. Outside of that, someone like Michael Johnson,
The runner.
the 400 metre run, just he was different. He just
I used to look up to him because
Yeah.
when I used to do a little bit of athletics, mostly at school and stuff, but I could run a good 200, and for a little while there I could run a really good 400.
yeah.
And I think at that same time he was just dominating.
Yeah,
So
he was
I
just
remember
phenomenal what he could do. So someone like him.
Did he win the 150 metre showdown with Donovan Bailey or whoever the 100 metre guy was at the time? Remember they did like a
I
hybrid.
do. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Anyway, fun
Yeah,
fact.
fun-
Look it up,
yeah.
people.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Outside of that, mate, I admire so many different sports people, but none really in particular, mate, to be honest.
I'll circle back. I just thought of something else.
Yeah.
But we'll finish the big three. Right, any 4 people from history over for a beer and a barbecue. Who's coming? What are you cooking? So alive or dead, I'll bring them back, whatever you want to do.
Another one that I've thought about a lot, Matt, and I would love more than anything, the 4 people I would have would be my grandfather who passed away.
Yep.
He actually passed away while my wife was pregnant with my eldest child, and I would just love to have him with my wife and 2 kids and me.
That'd be pretty cool.
He was my idol growing up. Probably from the age of up to 14 or 15, I spent every Christmas, every school holidays there. He was a horse trainer. You know
Yeah.
how I love the GG. So,
Yep. We'll come back to that.
yeah. So just I would, and a lot of me is from him. A lot of my, attitude and I don't know, just morals and all that sort of stuff. He was instilled from him, and I just love them to spend some time with him like I did. So that would be for me. And I'd love to have a heap of ex-football mates that I played with come around for a beer as well. But he's the one. I'd do anything to have another day with him.
I feel that. I like it. I was going to wrap it up, but I've just thought of a couple of things. What are you doing with yourself now? You, like I said before, you're looking fitter now than when we fought. You play a bit of Oztag?
Yeah, well,
obviously pre-COVID.
I love the Oztag when I get an opportunity. Yeah, so do a bit of that, bit of TRL, get on.
So how does that different from? Is that just touch footy?
Touch rugby league essentially. So
you can kick?
Yeah, you can kick. And
So is touch footy dead now? Do they not play touch footy at all?
No,
so you
touch
still
footy's
touch.
big. Touch is actually the NRL supports touch.
Yeah, but that's what I thought. Touch rugby league was that. No.
No.
Okay.
They're completely different.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just the problem with touch, and the reason I like Oztag so much is it's for little quick guys that just keep dumping on you and you're going backwards the whole time. And whereas Oztag and touch,
You've at least got to go back and grab your tag before you play.
Yeah, you play more footy. So I see myself as more of just a footy player trying to put people through holes and things like that rather than beat them with speed and stuff like that.
You're over on the mark a lot more in Oztag, and you've at least got to backpedal and play the ball.
Yeah, there's a skill to that as well, and I think in touch they allow it too much.
They've sort of brought in a bit of like if you lose your tag, you can sort of like dump the ball within a metre or something. There was just sort of came in just as I'd stop playing.
So what they did change the rule is now it's where the tag is taken. Normal, it used to be, you just wherever you're tagged, and if you can just come back and play it sort of where you see it, but it's actually where the tag's taken, so you need to come back around. So slowed it down a little bit more, giving the defender a bit more time. So that's a good thing. And like I said, it's that skill of being able to stop on the point to play the ball to go. So.
Yeah, righto. And I do enjoy it. My surgeon, I keep asking him, hey, am I right to play a bit of footy again? The answer's still no.
Just don't dive, mate.
Yeah, that's the problem. He said, is that you're probably right until you're not. And then, but they're worried about it coming out again. But I'm keen as to play some Oztag again.
Get back in the gym, strengthen it up, mate.
That's basically, I've never been a gym guy. I don't know if people probably can't tell that. Just natural Adonis. But I've never really been a gym guy. I like playing Oztag or doing a sport, but I've never been the guy to sort of go in and run on the treadmill and lift weights. But my physio and the surgeon have both sort of said it's just time to muscle.
Yeah.
It just needs muscle. So keep it all in place. The horses, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep.
So circling back around, you own one, or you did own one?
Oh, my wife will listen to this, so I've got to be careful. I own a few.
Oh, righto.
I've got
Just the ones you're allowed to talk about.
Yeah. So I've got one that's she's a rising 7-year-old now. She's won 250,000, won 8, so she's goes well.
Name that one? No.
Benfica Princess. So
Yeah. So the day I was on the punt, ran last. Then the next weekend,
won at 50s.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no
didn't
dramas.
get the text.
That's one of those things I don't tip her, because if I do tip her, she loses. So no one wins. So then a mate and I had another mare, and we put her out and we started a bit of a breeding operation, and that gets a little bit expensive. So we're trying desperately to get rid of the mare. Anyone looking for a lovely mare? She's bred 2 really good young fillies. We're looking to move her on. No money involved. But we've got a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old coming through that had both unraced, that we're hoping that'll be pretty good as well.
Cool.
And that's it. No more.
No, as in that's the maximum allowed to own at any one time? Or?
The plan for me would be 1, possibly 2. So the mare, we were going to sell her this year, but COVID came in and she's winning, so she's paying for herself, so we kept her going for 1 more year.
Yeah.
But 2 max, I think. It just becomes a little bit too expensive.
And what is the big appeal? Like, it is obviously expensive, and I don't know the stats, so I'm just going to make them up, but there's a shit ton of people out there that, own a racehorse, and it just becomes a money pit.
Oh, without a doubt.
But what is the big appeal? Is it the excitement, or is it just the buzz or the fun? Like, surely you've got to go into it knowing that potentially there's no money in it, and it's just a hobby. But obviously, for pays off, it's
the thrill of when they win is, and so Benfica, she won at Eagle Farm on a Saturday at 50s. Right, and she won by dead set. It was, not much, and that's how she normally wins. So, just the thrill and the excitement, and just like you've got all your family around and your mates, and a couple of my mates that are in it as well, and just the excitement you get from that is just out of this world. It's just amazing. Nothing can beat. I'm talking origin thrill.
And then you turn up to work Monday in the same gear you were wearing Saturday afternoon.
Family man these days, mate. Back maybe when I was a younger man, but no. You go out to dinner and you enjoy the night and talk about it, and you replay the race 1,000 times. And and when I was living down here, we'd go to the track on a Saturday morning, and you'd watch her work, and then you also meet the other trainers and get the inside word on a few other things that might be winning that day.
To get tipped up, all right.
Yeah. It's not what you know. So,
which jockey's birthday it is?
That's right.
No, that's a joke, people. Not insinuating that happens at all.
No, but it's great, and they're all good people, really good people, horse people. And like I said, I grew up with it. My grandfather was a horse trainer, and
something we have in common.
Really. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Dad used to ride track work. You know my dad.
I do. He's a big man.
6'3", 6'4". Used to ride track work as a young fella. My poppy used to own racehorses.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I actually, fun fact,
his mother's name was Ireland.
Really?
We could be related.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's a chance.
As I was saying, I used to, when I was a young fellow, I'd warm the horses up before they go and do track work.
Yeah.
I actually my grandfather had a horse that ran in the Melbourne Cup after he'd run in the Melbourne Cup, and he actually come third in Victoria Derby. So
yeah, nice.
So yeah.
Well, on that note, I want to mention we've got a social giveaway going on at the moment. People, check out our social media feeds. I've got some Gripstar socks. We've got a Saint Lane jumper, Beers and Banter hat, and we've got some videos from Johnny at My Lure Box. So all guys that have been on the pod. So get onto our socials and find that competition and get amongst it. Dasher, I've got a pair of Gripstars for you.
Awesome.
They'll be great if you're doing for you playing OzTag, or I got you the grey ones. Apparently the grey ones are for golf.
Really? Okay.
Nice kit for golf.
Cycling.
Yeah. So basically the design so your foot doesn't slip in your shoe at all.
Oh, cool.
Cycling, golf, OzTag, whatever you're doing, I'm sure you'll get use out of them. There's a 6-pack of Great Northerns there for you, mate.
Can't go wrong.
I really appreciate you coming on. People, you know what to do. Really appreciate all your support. Like us, follow us, share, subscribe, do all those things. It really helps me out. It makes me feel good. At Beers and Banter. Thanks for listening and cheers for joining us, Dutch.
Cheers. Thanks, Matty.
See you next week.